So these are my pants, which I have named Theseus, because at one point they will not be themselves anymore. I don't really know how to explain how I Frankensteined the new top on. It was kind of just drawing and measuring and approximating and cutting and sewing and patching things until it worked. And even then it didn't really work perfectly, but it worked well enough. I think it's really funny you guys like these pants. They're an indigo bunching pattern. I made them probably 3 years ago, and they needed knee patches, and then the knee patches needed patches, little patches and strippy patches, and I need to fix it right up here too. And then this pocket on the side, I actually cut it off of an old pair of pants I made. This is one of my original screen prints from when I first started to learn how to screen print. And now I'm like kind of a professional, so that's fun.
So I've got this shirt.
You can turn it into a shopping bag. So you take your shirt, cut off the sleeves, cut off the neckline, and then cut a lot of little slits in the bottom. And I mean a lot. And then you tie those guys together and you have a bag.
Light. These places where I'm trying to push dye into it, they're still going to be white or a very light color.
Because it doesn't really matter how much dye is there if there's not enough binder.
Well, if there's still wax in your yarn, it's working as a resist. It's a lovely white spots. And then this is a huge mess. What just happened here? This is a huge mess. I'm some serious resistance right there. What the fuck is it?
Squash the resistance.
Shall become butterscotch. See right there that it's not wet.
And this is that soda ash, the mordant?
Yeah, this has been soaking in soda ash. This is all the scrap yarn I have. End of the bolt, end of the whatever yarn that gets donated to me. It's just all random bits and bobs.
And you just sort it by fiber content until you have enough for a warp?
I just wait. I've got a big box of it, and then when I'm winding warps, I wind these, and then at the end of the day, when I've done all my dyeing, I consolidate my colors so that I have like the warm colors and the cool colors. And then I'll dye this one.
Cool. So if y'all remember last time, the warps were not evenly dyeing. They had little spots on them. So in order to help remove the waxy coating on the yarn, we're re-scouring this yarn, which means boiling it in a solution of washing soda with a little bit of dish soap. And this helps remove any residual crud and wax on it and make sure that the yarn will evenly take the dye so that these warps can be beautifully dyed into all sorts of fun colors and they won't be spotty. So if the patch looked something like this, where it has little tiny running stitches going back and forth, that would be sashiko or sashiko patching. But if it looked like this, with just the patch on the inside, I would just call that a patch. While my sister and I were traveling, we tried to earn as many Junior Ranger badges as possible, which is an amazing all-ages program put on by DNR to teach people about the parks. You go up there and you ask for a little workbook, and you go through that workbook, you learn all about the site, the plants in the area, the history of the area. And once it's all filled out, you bring it back in, and the ranger swears you in as a Junior Ranger of the park. So we got 10 of those. We also got embroidered patches for each park. So I made this little scrappy quilt in order to display them as a keepsake. My mother gave me this spinning wheel, so today I am taking it apart, cleaning it up, and doing my best to repair it. It needed a little bit of oil, some dusting, and honestly, I know very little about spinning wheels. I've never spun, really, except with a drop spindle before getting this wheel, but it was fun to take it apart and wipe down all the pieces. I sharpened a stick to clean out the gunk, and then I got bombed by my friends coming through with the truck. This putty smells terrible, but it did a wonderful job of sticking those dowels back in place. And slowly, quite slowly actually, I figured out how to get it all back together, and I got it spinning. And then I tried spinning, and it went okay. I will definitely need to practice a lot more. I made a new skirt today. I had a little bit of hand-woven fabric and a little bit of linen that I saved from a pair of pants. This is approximately the pattern 2 rectangles in the front, and then a side gore and a waistband. I thought about it a lot, the best way to create a very economical pattern, I suppose, and I didn't end up going with that pattern. I ended up changing it a little bit, but I based it all off my own measurements, and this is eventually how I figured out I was going to do the side gores. That triangle up top allows me to cut both side gores from one piece. One of them just has to be stitched together. For the hand woven, I always snip and pull a thread, and that gives me a perfectly straight line to cut down, especially since I don't have a rotary cutter and a board. That helps make sure that my pieces are actually square. So that's the pattern again. I transferred it onto the fabric with a pencil and then cut it out. And here you can see I have 2 side gores. And the fact that one has to be pieced down the center is actually no big deal because it allows me to inset a pocket very easily. Once I had all my pieces cut out, I started sewing. I hemmed the rectangles first because they had a section on them that was meant for hemming. And then the gores I actually sewed together slightly offset so that I could flat fell the seams using the bias, the edge of the rectangles, which did not need to be cut, to overlay and protect the other fabric that did need to be cut. My measurements were not quite right on the back, so that's why those darts got put in. And then I cut and made a couple pockets. That pocket is way too small. This one is more of a proper size. And then I started flat felling. So you can see more clearly here that the rectangular side of the fabric has a very solid edge. That's because that edge was created on the loom. And it folds over and is stitched on top of the gore, and that helps protect it and provides a nice sturdy seam. And it doesn't truly take that long. It's just, a little tedious, but I enjoy hand sewing quite a bit. And then I had a lovely new skirt. 2 giant pockets, long enough that I can be active, and just pretty darn cute. My utility belt has a hole, so I put a patch on it.